Okay, y'all, if you watch my booktube newbie tag, this is like literally seconds after that. So I'm gonna try to make this update quick, because Archie he wants to play. So anyways, Piranesi. That's what I'm reading right now. I am about at the halfway point. I just got to part 4. And now I feel like I finally am getting into it. I didn't really feel that way until I started part 3. I think it's just because of the style of writing. It felt it makes sense. So this book is like a series of written scientific observations by this guy who is referred to as Piranesi. I assume he's a human, I don't know. At first I thought he was a satyr because of this illustration, and that now makes me feel dumb. Because I don't know why I assumed this was supposed to be him, but it wasn't. And that makes me, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how to read when I made that realization. He's probably human. I guess we don't really know. I think he is. But yeah, it had the writing style was like very dry at first, which makes sense because of the form. And I felt like I couldn't really get into it. So I really like the premise, and I realized I never read a synopsis to you, so I'm going to do that now without doxing myself. Okay. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite. Oh my god, I cannot speak. Okay. Piranesi's house is no ordinary building. Its rooms are infinite, its corridors endless, its walls are lined with thousands upon thousands of statues, each one different from all the others. Within the labyrinth of halls, an ocean is imprisoned. Waves thunder up staircases, rooms are flooded in an instant. But Piranesi is not afraid. He understands the tides as he understands the pattern of the labyrinth itself. He lives to explore the house. There is one other person in the house, a man called the Other, who visits Piranesi twice a week and asks for help with research into a great and secret knowledge. But as Piranesi explores, evidence emerges of another person, and a terrible truth begins to unravel, revealing a world beyond the one Piranesi has always known. So, at first it was just scientific observations, kind of getting you kind of into the setting more, whereas now we're getting more plot, and so I now feel like I'm gonna have a blast. Part 3 was very interesting, and I feel like I now have all of these theories running around in my head, and I'm definitely getting I'm now like, okay, I feel like it was kind of obvious, like the whole labyrinth, endless house. Oh, of course, House of Leaves, there's the connection. But now I am definitely kind of getting that even more, even just outside of that more obvious connection between the two books. So that's what's going on. I feel like if I'm not going to finish it tonight, but I'll probably be able to finish it tomorrow night or the day after that. And then I'm going to start my House of Leaves reread. I don't think I ever even really introduced what this vlog is going to be in the first clip I filmed. But I decided, so I saw in Books and Lala's Literally Dead book club live stream, someone, I don't remember who, compared Piranesi and House of Leaves, and I was like, it's been a minute since I've read House of Leaves, and I kind of want to reread it, and then I want to get Dylan to read this book and then talk to me about it, because House of Leaves is one of his favorite books, if not like his favorite book. I feel like it has inspired a lot of like things that he makes. And so I want to have like a little discussion with him about it for y'all, because I feel like that would be fun. I feel like it will make me seem like more of an intellectual than I really am. So yeah, that's what's going on. This guy is going, he's really, ow, he's trying to, okay, Mr. Wiggleworm wants me to leave, so say bye. Say bye, Archie. Goodbye. Okay, he doesn't care. Okay, bye. Hello, friends. I just got home from work. It was Archie is also here. Here he is. It was my first day of my new position at work. And even though I worked like 2 hours longer than my longest shifts, I'm not as tired. I mean, my feet hurt, but that's because it's no longer socially acceptable to wear sneakers. So I have to wear fancy shoes, and my feet were not ready for that. But it's also nice because I don't know if you've read Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, you'd know, because I think he makes this comparison in there, like sitting jobs versus standing jobs. I had a standing job where you like have to look busy at all times, but now I have a sitting job where I can just sit all day, and it's amazing. I mean, like, I don't know. It's crazy how much less work you get to do for more money when you make that jump from standing to sitting. Anyways, what I'm really here to tell you about is last night I finished Piranesi. We are not biting library books today. And 5 out of 5. Amazing. I was gonna make Dylan read it anyway, but now I am gonna make him read it because it was excellent. Like, it started out so slow, and I think that's just me trying to get used to the style. Like the scientific observation sort of thing is something I'm not super used to. But once like the plot kicked in, wonderful. I don't want to say that much about it just because I really do think it's one of those books where you should go in not really knowing anything, or else it doesn't hit the same, I don't think. But yeah, 5 out of 5. So tonight we're starting the chonker, House of Leaves, by Mark Z. Danielewski. I think that's how you say it. I've got to get rid of that or else this guy will eat it. But yeah, this is my first reread of House of Leaves. The first time I read it, I didn't get it. I did give it a 5 stars on Goodreads, but it was also because it was around, I think I maybe read it when Dylan and I had been dating. We'd been dating more than a year, but it was still like, I wanted to impress him. And it's not like I didn't like it, but I was like pretending online that I loved it. I did enjoy it, but I don't think I really got it. It's one of those books that I think you really need to talk about to understand. So I'm hoping this experience, rereading it and then discussing it with him, will help me kind of understand what's happening. But I mean, I feel like that's also the point. Like, you're not supposed to really get it. But it's one of those book club books, I think. I mean, not like Where the Crawdads Sing book club books, but like one of those books that like requires talking to somebody else. Unless I'm just not smart. And y'all are like, oh, Karen just doesn't know how to read. That's the problem. I just don't know how to read. Archie also doesn't know how to read. Oh, jeez. That wasn't good. Well, me and Archie are signing off. But yeah, had a good day. I wish I want to know if I can read at work. That's the true question. Because there's lots of times where like I'm just sitting, and it would be awesome if I could read. Like reading in a library, groundbreaking. I've never even seen that movie. But anyways, that's all that's going on today. I'm sorry if throughout this whole clip you could hear Archie just like making very excited noises. He's been alone all day, except for during my lunch break. I came home and spent like a half an hour with him. So he's been lonely, so he's very happy to see me, but he's been licking my arms and hands this whole time. So if you can hear like nasty licking noises, that's what's happening, and I'm sorry. That's gonna be the situation for every clip that I do this week. Hopefully I finish House of Leaves soon, but if not, whatever. But Archie and I say goodbye. Goodbye! Hello, friends. I thought I would just hop in and give a little update because I realized I have not done so since starting this bad boy. Okay, train is gone. Let's talk House of Leaves. I am 72 pages in, but right now I'm reading the letters from Johnny's mom, which, like, I'm getting Moira Rose vibes from her. Like, that's the voice that's going on in my head while I'm reading this part. But so this is a reread, so I should have known that it would take this long to get through this. But for some reason, it's bigger on the inside. So yeah, I'm probably honestly not going to finish this for another week or so. So I'm going to have to come up with some other type of content for y'all. But anyways, so like I was saying, it was hard to start this because I don't have the best attention span, especially since, like, if you have read this, you're basically reading like an academic paper with annotations, and I can barely make it through the articles I have to read for school. So like this is I don't know why I thought I'd be able to be faster at this. So yeah, it's taking a minute, but I've made some headway. I think I've finally kind of reached the point where things start to pick up, or at least did last time. Like, we've already had the 5.5 minute hallway sequence. Like, that happened maybe 10 pages before. So now things are starting to get a little creepy, a little spooky. And so I think that will kind of make things go a little faster for me. So yeah, upon reread, I mean, I'm having similar feelings I think I did last time I read it, where I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if I've noticed anything different than I did the first time I read it, but maybe that will come later. Oh, actually, no, I have. I've noticed a couple like discrepancies with words and things that have like dual meanings, but I don't think those are really Easter eggs or anything. Hopefully Dylan and I will have a better discussion about this than what I'm talking about right now. So yeah, that's what's going on. I'll update you when I've read more. Hopefully that will be soon. Bye. Okay, hello. This is Dylan. We're gonna talk about House of Leaves and Piranesi now. So I guess first I'd like to know, what would you rate Piranesi? Because I don't think we've talked about what you thought of it.
So I gave House of Leaves a 5. It's probably like one of, if not my favorite book, at least that I've read in the past few years. Piranesi I really liked, but overall I don't think it was quite to the level that House of Leaves was. Like, it was a really good story, and I thought it was well written and it was well paced, and it did a really good job of like bringing a mystery out a little at a time, but it just didn't have the overall largeness that House of Leaves did. So I'd just do a solid 4 to 4.5, which is good.
Wow, I can't believe this. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Were you expecting me to say 5?
No, I wasn't. I just don't know how to segue it into what else I want to talk about.
Are you a journalist?
This is so rude. That was the first thing that I prepared for this discussion. Now, okay. I guess we can stay on the subject of Pyrenees. Oh, I guess, do you think the recommendation from the person who I don't remember who said it, that like, if you liked House of Leaves, you should read Piranesi, Like,
Yeah.
I think that's valid.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I think Piranesi had less horror elements to it, and it was more of a thriller, like a mystery thriller, whereas House of Leaves I think is more mystery horror almost. But I think that the mystery vibe from it was really similar. And if you like that about House of Leaves, definitely read Piranesi. Same thing if you've read Piranesi and liked the whole what's happening, why is this sort of abstract thing happening the way it is. House of Leaves is similar in that way. I think that, yeah, I think it's solid.
Do you want to know something?
Sure.
House of Leaves is not shelved in the horror or sci-fi fantasy section of my library. Anyways, should we talk theories now?
Sure.
Because that's all that
That's
I
fine.
have.
I mean, I think that's one of the most
for
interesting
this.
things you can talk about for it.
That's true.
So full disclosure, I haven't read House of Leaves in a couple
You
years.
haven't read House of Leaves ever.
I've read House of Leaves twice. I read it once
You read it
in,
when we were at
in
Lizzie
college.
and Josh's wedding.
Oh, okay. Well, I read it once in like fall break, maybe my junior year of college, because a friend recommended it to me. And then I reread it a couple summers ago, or was it last summer? When did they get married?
2019, because it was pre-COVID.
Oh yeah, duh. So 2 years ago, and then that was the last time I read House of Leaves, so I had to kind of refresh myself on it. So I watched a lot of video essays with some theories, but I tried not to like take those theories because I remembered a few that I had myself. So if I don't have evidence for any of my theories,
That's okay. I only have
That's fine.
evidence for a couple of them.
Okay.
So, I guess because I feel like this will be shorter than the House of Leaves theories, do you think Piranesi, I mean, obviously, none of these books happened, but like, do you think the events of Piranesi actually happened?
within the world of Piranesi.
Yeah, or do you think like it was all in Piranesi's, I forgot his real name. By the way, there's spoilers in this. So do you think Matthew, like, do you think, I came up with this like theory that he possibly was like some sort of like Stockholm syndrome sort of deal, because you had the other guy who they found trapped in the wall, who was like talking about the labyrinth and everything. And it made me think, like, if you've been kidnapped and like trapped in this house for years with somebody like trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're like, I don't know.
So in the didn't really happen Stockholm syndrome theory, is the maze, the labyrinth there? Or is he just stuck in just a house?
I think he's just stuck in like a room in a house.
I didn't think of it that way. Like, that makes sense.
I mean, I feel
think-
like it's not very plausible.
Well, I think my question would be, so in taking it at face value, the reason that he keeps Piranesi in the labyrinth is because he's conning him into mapping it out for him.
Yeah.
So if there's not really a labyrinth there, then what's the purpose for?
I assume it was like sexual abuse because of that, the prophet man. But yeah, I assumed it was like a sexual abuse sort of thing because of I don't remember the prophet's real name.
Wasn't that Lawrence?
That sounds right.
Because Ketterly is the other.
Yes.
What was his first name? I think it started
don't
with an L.
remember.
It was a cool name. I remember that. Something Ketterly. Anyways.
But yeah, well, because I was thinking like, because wasn't it established that the prophet was like,
An abuser.
yeah, like I don't know. I was gonna say a pedophile, but they were adults.
I think it was alluded to with,
That he was a pedophile.
I don't think necessarily a pedophile, but an abuser.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was in his little cult thing was like college students.
Yeah.
So I mean, none of them would be minors, so I don't think pedophile is the right word, but definitely someone who takes advantage of people sexually.
Yeah. It made me think a lot of The Secret History, which doesn't have like the sexual abuse, like the imbalance of power sexual abuse aspect, but like the idea of an old man, like academic, with college students and like influencing them.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't read that?
No.
I think you might like it.
Maybe.
It was a little too like over my head. I feel like you're smarter than me.
That's not true. I think. What were we talking about?
Whether or not it was real.
Whether it was sexual abuse, or it was like a sexual abuse.
Yeah, whether like he kind of created, like I was maybe wondering like if the guy, like the prophet guy, whatever his real name was, I will never remember. Lawrence.
Yeah, Armed Sales.
Yeah, okay.
But it wasn't him who was keeping Piranesi hostage.
Because he was in jail.
Yeah. And then Ketterly was sort of, I think, using the teachings that he had got from Lawrence, but I don't think that he necessarily, because of that, had the same motivation.
Yeah.
Like, Lawrence could have easily been using it as a sexual thing with, what was the girl's name?
I don't remember. I don't really remember anybody's name.
Oh. I feel like I should. I just finished it not that long ago. I feel like Stephanie or something. Maybe, I don't know. But he was definitely just like lording over her.
Yeah.
Because he was like convinced her to start a fight with her family, who she was very close to, and then like had her push them away. I don't know. I feel like there probably was some other motivation besides getting Piranesi to map the labyrinth, but I don't know what it is, because there isn't really anything that's outright alluded to as far as Ketterly and Piranesi's relationship.
I guess kind of like maybe what I was thinking when I had written this down was like the Arnett sales guy was convinced that it was real, and he was able to convince his followers that it was real. But then had started, and I think the sexual abuse was like a side thing, but he like, I don't know, I guess I was getting like Manson vibes of like the person who doesn't actually commit the crimes telling his followers to do so.
I could definitely see that. Yeah,
I don't know, that's what I was thinking. I feel like it's also like with both of these things, it's so easy to just kind of take it at face value.
Yeah.
And not try to read into it.
That was another thing I liked about both of them. It wasn't, I feel like a lot of mysteries just kind of tie everything up and are like, this is exactly what happened. If you got it, great job. If you didn't, too bad.
Yeah.
This one's like, it gives you a solution, but then you can sort of make heads or tails of whether or not you think that solution is the real one or if something else deeper was happening.
Yeah. I also am feeling though like, is me reading further into Piranesi like just a result of me being like, oh, it was tied to House of Leaves, where like it's normal to do that, but like Susanna Clark did not intend for anybody to like read more into it. I guess I should have.
I've never read any Susanna Clark besides this, so I don't know what she's known for.
Neither do I. But yeah, anyways, now the House of Leaves. Do you have a theory that you think, like that you do have like a favorite theory?
I feel like when you're approaching House of Leaves, the first thing you have to decide, the same question as Piranesi, is like, what actually happened in the world of House of Leaves?
Yeah.
Like, is Johnny a real person? Is Zampano a real person?
Yeah.
So in the world, they're pretty blunt about the Davidson record is not real. The videotape does not exist.
Yeah.
And that Zampano is just kind of rambling about a non-existent video. But then that is a question of, if the Davidson record isn't real, is Davidson still a real person? And is Karen still a real person? And Tom, are you a real person?
I don't know. So what do you think?
The one that I went with, that I didn't really notice until the second time I read it, is that I think that Johnny is... What is Johnny's mom's name? Pelafina. Is Zampano and Pelafina's son.
Oh.
Whether or not they were like married or whatever, they had Johnny. I think that if you take it that Navidson and Tom are real people, I think that they're half brothers of Johnny's. I think they're also Zampano's kids. Because of the Jacob and, I am not a biblical scholar, Esau, that
I'm also not.
parable that comes in, and it's like very cut of one of them is Navidson, one of them is Tom. And then I remember kind of flipping midway through about who's who. Like at first it was pretty clear that Navidson was Jacob and Tom was Esau. I'll say it that way because I don't know how to say it. And then something happened later on that made me think that it was the other way around, but either way there's the parallel between those two. I think it was originally brought up in Zampano's writing, and that's what made me think that Zampano is their dad.
It was brought up
but
in
then,
one of his annotations.
But then just thinking about it now, I feel like it's just as easy that Zampano made up those characters, because they would still be his creation, even if it's not in a physical form. An author creates characters the way a person makes children.
A lot of mine kind of revolve around multiple characters being the same person, as opposed to them being related to each other. But also, it doesn't make any sense. Like, who would be? I haven't really decided on one. I don't know if I ever will. I will say, I talked about this in my June wrap up, which is still freaking uploading. I mentioned this in the video that will be going up before this one. But the first time I read House of Leaves, I did not get any of it. I did not understand any of it. It made me feel very I did not have I did not know what I was reading.
I feel like it's made that you have to read it twice at least.
Yeah.
I didn't get stuff when I read it the first time.
Okay. I felt very stupid. But I felt smarter now. But anyways, a lot of mine are just that various people are the same person. Oh, my first one was that Pelafina actually killed Johnny, and she created this whole thing to kind of be like, I didn't kill my son. And like, he's this guy. But then it's also the house. I think that one was interesting. Like Pelafina as the house. And then all the other characters are members of like Johnny's family interacting with the house.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
No, like I mean that. I just have trouble with Pelafina as the house. I don't think I fully get what you mean.
I don't know what I mean either. I guess more of just like what it's like to be the child of a narcissist.
Okay.
Or something similar to that effect. I don't know if she's necessarily a narcissist. I guess maybe being the child of someone who
has mental illness.
Yeah. But in like a very... I feel like she kind of was a narcissist.
That's probably true. I mean, I feel like there were multiple things that she could be diagnosed with. I don't remember it. I feel like it mentioned schizophrenia. Is she officially diagnosed with that?
I don't know if she officially was. A lot of my theories are based off of the letters.
Okay.
But a lot of like how she like kept guilting her son over not visiting her and not writing to her and like all of that business. I don't know what I was even thinking. I have to reread that. I should have reread this before starting this. Oh my goodness. I think something else that kind of tripped me up is why does everybody call Navidson / Navy when him and Tom have the same last name?
Karen also has the same last name.
Yeah, no, they never got married.
They did? No, I don't remember that.
They never got married, so she kept her maiden name, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
So I was thinking maybe they're the same person, and like maybe Tom is the reality, but Navidson was like who he wanted to be, like an idealized version of himself.
I wonder if that being, not to like turn mental illness into a plot point, But
I feel like it kind of is in this book.
it sort of is.
Yeah.
But if that's true, Tom having that sort of misconception of reality could be genetic with him being related to Pelafina.
Yeah.
Because Johnny, throughout the whole story, and it's alluded to that it's caused by reading the Davidson record, but it could also just be him experiencing the onset of mental illness.
Yeah.
He starts to kind of lose grip with...
That's kind of what I remembered why I thought Pelafina was the house. Okay. So one of the things was the whole thing about, like, when the house changes, it makes that, like, roaring noise, which is supposed to, like, be the Minotaur or whatever. Minotaur?
I think it's either way.
Neither of us know how to say things.
No.
That's a problem. But then, whenever, like, pre-Pelafina going into the institution, I don't remember what it was called, like, there are examples of him, like, closer to the end of the book, where, like, when Pelafina tried to, like, murder Johnny, like, his dad, like, roaring, and Pelafina roaring when she was taken away from him. And so I kind of was thinking maybe, like, that's kind of a parallel to, like, the house changing to kind of to keep you trapped inside so you can't find your way out. Because, like, I definitely got the vibe from Pelafina. I've seen lots of TikToks on this. Maybe that's why I'm thinking about this. Of, like, mothers and sons, and mothers who, like, rely on their son for emotional labor, and, like narcissists.
I'm getting what you're saying now.
Yeah.
It makes sense now. Sort of the house changing to not let Davidson get out, being Pelafina's guilt onto Johnny, keeping him from leaving her. Okay, I get it.
And then I guess I didn't think of this when I was writing, but maybe almost like him kind of losing his mind throughout the book is also kind of like him succumbing to his mother. But yeah, and then the last point on here, I think, is kind of me losing my mind a little bit. But it was getting more at the thing of, like, if Davidson and Tom are twins, why is Navy called Navy when Tom has the same last name? And then I was reminded of the fact that there's a common... I learned that I did not know this, so I'm not smart enough for that. But when I was looking at the forums about how one of the commonly misspelled words is pieces, misspelled as Pisces, and that made me think of Gemini and twins, and how, like, Geminis are not two-faced, but, like, kind of like two sides of the same coin. But that sounds like ramblings of, like, not somebody who's losing it.
I mean, I feel like there's so many things that, like, are done in the book, and it's like, why? Like, why is every time the word house is said blue? Is there a reason? Is it just to call attention to it? I feel like there's a handful of things that's, like, just trying to add some spice to the book.
I will say about the blue thing is, after being on those forums, I'm pretty sure each of Daniel Lewski's books have, like, a different color associated with them. Because I think it's like this, and then the familiar, and then there's, like, he has another one.
Well, he has the Whale Still Letters, which was a standalone thing after House.
Yeah, but there's another one.
I don't know.
But, like, when you go on the forums, I feel like the text, like, there's, like, one of them is pink and the other, I think, is green, maybe? I think. But then I was also doing some other readings, and, like, this was written when his dad was dying, and he wrote it for his dad. And that had made me think of something, but I forgot what it was.
Not to make Mark Danielewski's real life trauma into a plot point, but Zampano, the book begins with Johnny finding Zampano's body, and as my theory goes, Zampano is Johnny's dad.
Yeah.
That's probably really insensitive to bring up. But
He's not gonna see this.
Mark, if you're watching, I'm really
Mark
sorry.
is not gonna watch this. Do you think he looks for like...
Mark's sister Poe, if you're watching, I love your music. Please, I'm sorry.
Okay, but something else, because I remember something else that like the whole Pisces pieces thing is like in all of these forum posts from the early 2000s that I read, they were very adamant that I guess in an interview, Mr. Mark said that none of the typos, like every like mistake was on purpose.
I'm gonna try that if I ever have to write an academic paper again.
Yeah.
You should try it.
I should try it. They wouldn't believe me.
I'd be like, you just don't get it.
Yeah, like it's art.
Yeah.
Sweaty. But so like the whole Pisces thing has to be significant in some, like was on purpose, unless he just thought it would be silly.
You see Pisces the fish, they live in water, like the water in Piranesi.
But he didn't know that Piranesi just came out.
And this fish swim in the water.
But also,
Mark Danielewski is Susanna Clark.
the one thing that I did notice the first time I read this book was on page 320. Like literally the only thing I noticed was how he refers to Tom as me in the book. He does. He might have spent all night drinking, had exhaustion not caught up with me. So either Tom is me or like Navy or Ressus. One of the characters is me.
The rest of the Davidson stuff is written in third person, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because it says he there, and he blah 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 hang on caught up with me. So then I was...
So the Davidson record being written from Zampano's point of view, or at least for the rest of it.
I mean, I kind of interpret it as like whoever Zampano is writing this to like work something out with themselves. And I don't know which character. At first I was like convinced it was Tom because it had been talking about Tom. But then I was thinking like it could be Karen.
Well, I feel like if it's written from his point of view,
Or no,
it's
I
not
think
really,
it is Tom.
It's not really the...
I know it's not the character.
Yeah, it's more like him being there.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Tom, but then referring to himself. Like it...
I feel like Tom is Zampano.
I don't know. I feel like taking... So I don't... Can I get the full context of that sentence?
Yes. So the theory that came out of rereading that, I had convinced myself that it was very similar to what you were thinking about Johnny Zampano's son, but I was thinking more of like Davidson and Tom are the same person. Johnny is Chad and Daisy.
But that would make... Oh yeah, because they're the same person. Okay. I can see.
But then I also confused myself though, because I feel like Davidson is Johnny.
Is there ever a timeline of like when the Davidson record takes place? Does it explicitly say? Because then we could see if that lines up. Because we're assuming that Johnny takes place in modern day as the book was written, which was early 2000s.
Yeah.
So if we could get like a solid Davidson record takes place in the 90s or late 80s, I think that, 2000 is when the book is copyrighted.
Yeah. I guess we do know, well, we know.
We know when the photograph was taken of, what's her name?
Oh, Deliol?
Yeah, Deliol. Because that's based off a real picture. But so if it doesn't say a date in the book, we can find a date for the real life picture it's based on.
This video is actually footage of two people losing their minds. What if this was actually our height difference? I was just thinking about that.
That'd be cool. You can tell the
viewers at home.
Tell the fast food workers that I didn't want pictures.
But then, here's the thing though. I also found a link between Davidson and Johnny that like then connects to the Pelfina as the house thing, because when Davidson is trying to get Daisy, or was it Chad? Whoever was in the house trying to get them out, and he like cut his forearms on the window. Johnny has the scars on his arms from when Pelafina dumped like he was trying to catch the oil or whatever.
To bring up another book, because we haven't talked about enough different books to talk about this one, in Kafka on the Shore. Spoilers for Kafka on the Shore.
People are going to spoil it for me.
Okay, never mind.
Well, no, you can't. I probably won't. I don't know if I'll read it. If I do read it, I'll probably forget.
So there's a point in that book where you start to just link a lot of characters together, and you're like, how is it going to resolve this? But what's happening is that within the book, characters' souls pass through bodies at different times. And so that's why you see so many links within those characters, because it's the same person just sort of
being passed around.
Taking it's a very like Eastern sort of I don't want to lump the whole continent together, but like an Asian sort of Eastern Hemisphere view of spirituality, where like a body is not a person, but a soul is a person, and so bodies are just sort of shells that are used in the book so that souls can experience basically a completely different plot line as the book goes on, separate from what the characters are experiencing. And so it could be that like Tom and Davidson and Johnny and Pelafina and Zampano could all be like two souls or one soul even, that's all just trying to figure out a life.
Wait a second. Okay, because something that has also been kind of tripping me up is I feel like in this book, all of the male characters are kind of linked together, whereas all the female characters are, excluding Daisy. I feel like Daisy just was kind of...
She's just hanging out.
She's just vibing.
What's the dog's name?
Something silly. Hillary. She's Hillary. Did I write about Hillary?
Daisy and Hillary are their own separate thing.
Because, like, there's connections between Karen and Pelafina, and then also the idea of, like, men using women for various things. But I also feel like there's also lots of women using men.
That's true. I don't remember anything about this. What is Karen's relationship with Chad like?
I don't really think they talk. I remember she's playing, there's a scene, I feel like the only thing you can really see of that is like, obviously like Karen trying to take the kids, get out of there and she's trying to take the kids to her mother's.
No, this was a documentary.
Take it to her mother's. But then there's also like the part where she's playing with them, but I don't know where Davidson is supposed to be. I don't know if he's like exploring the house or he's gone for some reason, and there's like this whole deal made about like how she's not actually engaged with her kids, and the whole time she's just waiting for him to come back.
I think that's another theme within the two. If you want to split it up into like a Johnny storyline and a Davidson storyline, that's a common thing of like absent father leaving the mother to take on the entirety of parenting, and then that kind of contributes to the mother being so reliant on the children because there isn't a father. And so it's a similar thing with Pelafina and Johnny and Karen and the kids.
That's really basically all I have. What do you think?
This is like Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. Wow, you're right.
Yeah, that's right. You did it. You got it.
I mean, also, like, I don't think there's ever going to be an answer. Do you think Mark even knows?
I mean, I'm sure he has a theory.
I mean, he wrote it. What do you mean? It can't be a theory if you wrote it.
I don't know. I feel like there are certain things where, like, he can have his interpretation, but why is his better than mine? Ours is cool. The thing we ended up with, that's pretty cool.
I think that is pretty
Maybe
cool.
Mark's theory sucks.
Like, I do think a lot of this kind of also, though, relies on, like, a belief in, like, a gender binary and, like, that sort of stuff.
That's true. It is sort of built around a nuclear family, though.
Yeah.
honest, I don't have any more theories.
Neither do I. I feel like we haven't really arrived. I feel like, well, no, we did. I feel like we arrived at the theory, but I also feel like if we were to read it again with that in mind, we would convince ourselves that it wasn't good.
I guess we'll just have to never read it again so we can feel some amount of closure.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing this for like almost an hour now.
And with that,